Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's class. Today we'll be discussing some topics. Before we go to the topics, I have to remind you that the platform I'm using in writing this code is called Google Colab. It's an online platform, a cloud-based platform where you can write your Python code without installing Python on your system. You can also write your code on the phone on this same platform as far as your smartphone has access to internet and also your system has access to internet. So either way you are good to go. So you not having system should not stop you from start writing Python code. Google Colab has given you that opportunity. Also remember that this is a hands-on practical class on Python coding, and I've posted some videos. I started from scratch and up to the level we are now, and we are still progressing. So in case you missed out of other videos that I've posted, you can check my other videos so that you can catch up. And in case I mention some things in this lesson that I've mentioned in other videos, you can always go back to the videos and listen to them over and over and again till you understand. So the topics we'll be considering today are these: escape sequence, formatted string, type conversion, and string concatenation. So we'll be taking them one after the other. So what is escape sequence? This involves using backslash to convert an inverted comma to string when it appears in between the initial and the last inverted comma. This allows you to be able to use contraction words like it, have, wasn't, and so on. So let's go back to Google Colab. Remember, if you want to write your code in Google Colab, you use the cell. You click on this code feature here to create a cell where you write your code. So and also this feature here, text, is also used to make notes while writing your code for you to remember what you're actually doing in case you were unable to finish a particular project or work. Then whenever you get back to it, using this note will help you to remember what you have done or where you stopped easily. So the first thing we are discussing is escape sequence. So I'll be using the text to make note here. Escape sequence. Then once you finish typing, then you can press escape. So we have the topic here. Now I'm going to add a cell where I'll be writing my code. So I'll click on add code. So as we know from the definition, escape sequence allow you to use a backslash to convert an inverted comma to a string when it appears in between the initial and the last comma and the last inverted comma. So, and you know, in other videos I've mentioned, if you want to create string, you use either the double quotes like this, or you use the single quotes. These are the quotes you use in creating string. So for escape sequence, now let's say I want to create a variable that is called statement. Statement is equal to, let's say, this. Let me use a single quote here. Let's say this is the way. Let me just write a statement. This is the way. Instead of writing I have this way, so I want to shorten it. I want to use contraction words, so I'll use this is the way of, then I'll use my inverted comma. I've been doing it, then I'll close it with another single inverted comma. Now you can see that I have the inverted comma here, I have it here, and I also have it here. Now this will confuse Python because it's not seeing, normally this is supposed to be a string. You know, if you want to create a string, it has to be within an inverted comma, either the single quote or the double quote. But here now I'm using a single quote, but I have this contraction word here, have, which is also having this inverted comma. So this is contradicting. In other words, Python is not seeing it as a string. So if I run this code now, if I try to print this statement, it will give me an error. Let me create another cell where I will print the statement. Where I'll print the statement. So from here you can see that it's also already showing an error now, which means if I try printing it here, it will still give me an error. Why? Because Python is not seeing this as a normal string. So for me to be able to use this inverted comma in between these two initial and the last inverted comma, so that's when you use your backslash, and that is what we call escape sequence. By the time I put the backslash, you can see that the red, let me remove it again. You can see all this red sign here, all this underline, it's telling me that this write up, this string is wrong. So by the time I put the backslash, it removes the red underlined line in text there. So we all have everything plain. So which means anything after this backslash is a text. When you use backslash for your escape sequence in Python, it means anything you write after this backslash becomes a text automatically. It becomes a text, which means from this inverted comma to this T here, they have become text. So which means this first and this last inverted comma are now valid. I can now use them as string, which means the variable I've created now, this statement has a string, has string as a value. So let me run this again. So you can see that it has marked it green. That is, now I have made a string for this variable. So if I run this now, if I say print statement, as you can see, it's printed it out with the inverted comma. Why? Because it's now seeing this inverted comma as a text. You can also, I didn't be I use the double quotes here for the first and the last. I won't be having that issue. I will not even need to put the inverted comma, I mean the backslash, and it will still give me the same thing. Let me run this again. As you can see, it ran. So I still have it, but whenever you find yourself using single quotes from the initial and also single quotes at the end of it, you must use escape sequence if there are words that have things like this in between the first and the last. So that is what we call escape sequence. So as you can see, it's printed it out. So that is escape sequence. So the next thing we'll be talking about is formatted string. Now, what is a formatted string? Formatted string literals commonly referred to as F string. Commonly referred to as F strings for brevity. The feature allows one to include the value of Python expressions inside a string by prefixing the string with F, or that's small letter F or capital letter F, and writing expressions as expression, that is in a curly bracket. Formatted string, in short, means you can refer to a variable using a curly bracket. Let me explain that to you. I'm also going to make a text here like a comment, and this formatted string. Formatted string, it uses a curly it uses the normal bracket with F. I will explain that to you. So I can press escape. Now I'm going to create a variable. This is, I'm going to create a variable. Let's say the variable is number. Let's say number of students, or number of, let's get the total number of the gender we have in a school. So let's say number of male students. Number of male students equal to, let's say, 15. So I'm going to create another variable, say number of female. So remember how to create your variable, we use underscore. If you'll be having a long variable name like this, number of female students, let's say equal to 30. So now let me create another cell here. I say total number of students. Yeah, let's say total number of students equal to this. I'm going to copy this now. This number of students, instead of retyping, let me just copy this and paste plus. Your plus is an arithmetic operator. I've explained that in my previous video. In case you missed it, you can go back to that and check. And I'm going to copy this also. Number of female students. So, which means I've created another variable, total number of students here. And the value is having is the summation of the number of male students and the number of female students. So let me create another cell where I'll print it. So, and this is where the formatted string comes in. So let me say print. Let me just say print. I want to print the total number of students, but I want to add some string to it. I want to add some text to it so that I will not just print the figure alone. So now this is F string. I will press the F first, then use an inverted comma. You can use the capital letter F, you can use small letter F, you can use single quote, and you can also use double quote. So but you put the F first. So I can say the total number of students is. Remember, this is just a text that I'm typing. Instead of just saying total number of students is so, I need to explain that the total number of students is this. So then you use a curly bracket. Why? Because you are referring to a variable. You are referring to an expression here. This total number, it has a formula. It has a formula here, which is the summation of this and this. Now, but instead of typing this and this in this place, I can just use my F string. Using this F string, then I'll just put this variable name in that curly bracket. So that curly bracket allows you to refer to this particular variable. So even if there are other formulas, there are other manipulations you have done to this variable, once you use this F string with a curly bracket here, it carries out that same manipulation that you have done, that same calculation or whatever you have done to this particular variable. So let me run this. Remember, you have to run all your cells, especially uh, when they are connected to each other, because if I don't run this first cell, I won't be able to calculate my total number of students, which means I won't be able to print it out. Then let me print it out. As you can see, it says the total number of students is, that is 15 plus 30. It gives us 45. And you know where we got the formula from? We got it from this total number of students, where we have number of male students plus number of female students. So this text here is just a string. No, it's within a string, your first quote, your second quote, and I told you you can also use double quotes. If you don't want to use single quotes, you can use double quotes. You can use double quotes. It will still run. It will still give you what's supposed to give you. So as you can see, you still have total number of students 45. You can use capital letter F. As you can see, it still gives us 45. So that is F string, that is formatted string. You use it in referring to a particular variable, to a particular expression. This variable has an expression of this. So instead of repeating this same expression here, this same statement where we have here, we can just use the f string by applying the curly bracket within a string. Then it will give us the expected output by the time we use the print function. So that is that on f string. So the next thing we'll be talking about is type conversion. Type conversion, or let's talk about string concatenation before we talk about type conversion, because if we don't discuss the concatenation, you might be finding it a bit confusing when we talk about type conversion. So let's talk about string concatenation. So let's go back to our Google Colab. So I'm going to make a note here, string concatenation. So that's what we'll be talking about first. So now what is string concatenation? String concatenation means to get a new string containing both of the original strings. Python can concatenate or combine strings in several ways. A new string created this way is called a string object. In other words, string concatenation means you adding two strings together, you adding two texts together, quoted in a whether single quote or double quote. That is string concatenation. You add them together. For example, let's go back to our Google Colab. I'm going to create a cell here. So let me create a variable called fruit. Let's say fruit equals to orange. Remember, you can use double quote or single quote to create your string. Let me say orange. Then let me create another variable. Let's say furniture. Let's say furniture. I'm going to use single quote for this. And just say chair. So the variable name is furniture and the value is carrying is a chair. So now I want to add these two together. That is what we call string concatenation. You are adding two strings together. So let me create a cell now. If I say print, so print fruit. Let's use the arithmetic operator here, which is addition through furniture. So if I say now, remember I have to run this cell because this fruit and furniture are connected to this particular cell, which means if I don't run this cell, if I run this, I won't get the expected result. So let me run this first. So it has given me the green mark, which means I'm good to go. So let me print this. Let me run this also. As you can see, it says orange chair. That is orange and chair. That is fruit plus furniture. It's giving me orange and chair. But as you can see, the output is modeled up. There is no space here, nothing here, and we don't want it like that. So how do you create space in this output here? So it's very simple. In Python, we have what we call empty string. It could be a double quote, it could also be a single quote. So let me use double quote. Then I can say plus using the arithmetic operator, which means I'm adding fruit plus space plus furniture. So I have to run this again. As you can see now, we now have a good output here, that is orange chair. So adding two strings together is what we call string concatenation. Adding two strings together is what we call string concatenation. So let us go to type conversion. So now I'll be using this example we have in a string concatenation and now type conversion. Now type conversion is the process of converting the value of one data type to another. This is known as type conversion. This is one very important feature in Python that is used in data manipulation. This is a very important feature in Python that is used in data manipulation. It converts a particular data type from one form to another. For example, let's say from string to integer, from integer to float. That is what we call type conversion. Let's go back to our Google Colab. Let me create a variable. Let me say, okay, before that, let me just create a text so that we have our notes. Type conversion. All these things I'm doing are the things you use even in your advanced Python, but you have to understand all these basics very well, because these are the things that you'll be using even when you grow higher and higher in your Python programming. They are very, very essential, even though they might look simple, but they are very essential. So let me create a variable. I say a equal to, I'm creating a string now, but it's going to be a number. Let's say 12. Remember, anything you have within this single quote or double quote is called a string. I'm going to create another variable. Say b, let's say car2. Let's say car2. Now, if I want to print, let me create another cell where we'll print it out. So let's say print a plus b. A plus b. Now, I'm going to run this first so that you can have access to it from here. So if I say print a plus b, it will give me 12 cartoon, just like the way we have here string and string. But the type conversion, it means when you are adding number, let's say we have number and text. Now I want to add them together. So let me now remove this quote here. Let me remove this single quote here. So remember, removing this quote has made this automatically an integer. Before it was a string because it had the single quote at the initial and at the end. But now I've removed the quote, so it has now become an integer. So if I try to add this together now, let me run this again and let me print them out. So it's going to give me an error. Why? Because this is an integer, this is a string. You cannot add a number and a text together. You cannot add a number and a text together. But I want to print 12 cartoon. I still want to print this thing out. So what do I do? Because I can't convert this text to number in Python, but I can convert integer, that is this number, to a text by using one of the data type that I've talked about, which are inbuilt method, that is string str. So how do I convert my variable this a to a string? I will do that by just saying str. In case you missed out of that lesson, you can go back and watch my videos on data types we have. So we have integer, we have string, we have float. And I remember, so this is print. I've converted this this a to be a string, so that, which means it will now look as if I have something like orange and chair that are text. Because I've converted this a now to a string, then it has automatically become a string. So that is how you convert your variable. If it's a number, you convert it to a string. If you're adding a number to a string, you convert the number to a string so that you can have them together. And remember, you can create your space by using either double quote or single quote and adding it also. So that is 12 cartoon. So you can see now that your number and your text has been added together. So that is what we call type conversion. So even if it is a number and a number, let's say 12 and another number, but you want it to come out in form of float. What you have to do is just to put float in front of the number when you are printing. So type conversion is just converting from a particular uh, data type to another one. So that's all for this class. Thank you.